Welcome to our Patagonia trip. We're going to share with you some of our highlights, so I hope you enjoy. We first flew into Patagonia basically for 1 week from Buenos Aires. This was back in April. This is going into their winter time, which basically benefits with it being really quiet on the tourist front, so there wasn't many other tourists around, but the nature was also boasting some of the most incredible views and the colours that you could actually go and see. First of all, we went to El Calefate airport, where we jumped on a shared basically shuttle bus that dropped us off at our accommodation, which was America del Sur. This is of course what we all booked in advance. It's always ideal to do that. If you are interested in any of the places that we have booked ourselves, we'll link it down in the description below. We basically arrived at our hostel at the basically perfect timing because it had some of the most gorgeous sunsets that are just right outside the window. You can see there it had nice panoramic windows going all the way around. They also had a great basically bar and restaurant area. And of course you can see in the middle there's a nice indoor fire pit, which we obviously would snuggle up to keep nice and warm if we ever needed to. The hostel of course was just on the outskirts of town, so we could easily walk into the actual town itself and pick up some groceries if we needed anything like that, because the hostel itself, they did have a nice large kind of kitchen facilities that we could do ourselves, but again they also had their own bar and restaurant area, so you can order the food from them as well. Of course the breakfast was included, which was great, and they also had some live music on some evenings at the same time, which kind of made it a good basically good vibes for the night time. They also had some other entertainment as well, which was really cool. The staff as well were really friendly. They spoke good English. They also have a few dogs running around. This is on the outskirts or the outside of the actual hostel, with lots of dogs around, but they were really friendly. We also slept basically in a shared dorm, which was actually okay, because this is how you get to meet nice, friendly and other backpackers who are there to do the same thing as you. But it's always good to know that you're going to be present on your traveling trips. And this is just one of the sunsets from outside of that panoramic view. It was absolutely amazing. Basically the next day we went and took a walk to Lago Argentina, which of course, as you can see, is actually really large and beautiful at the same time. On our trip, of course, we always had some dogs to come and keep us company, which we already mentioned before, but it was always nice because obviously, like I said, they keep you company. They even know the way, I think, sometimes of where we're actually going to, so that you probably follow them more than them actually following you. Again, you can see some of the nice bright blue colours of the actual Lago Argentina. But one of the main things that we went to, obviously, Patagonia for, and in El Calefate, was Perito Monero. So in the morning we had to wake up really early for a group tour to the glacier. Again, always book online and book ahead of time to make sure you secure your spot. But again, it was an amazing day down there in basically the national park. We got to see the glacier up close. We even went on the boat. We have to basically get across the water because our trek was basically to do a little walk on the actual glacier as well, and the boat would actually go via the front surface, shall we say, of the actual glacier as well. So we've got some really up close views and a real humbling experience, because this thing was absolutely massive. And of course, just like you may or have not heard, but obviously when the ice actually falls away from the wall of the glacier itself, it makes the most amazing thunderous sound as it crashes into the actual ocean there. But again, don't worry, this ice structure keeps coming down from the mountains, and it's just a natural part of the process. And as you can see, we really enjoyed it as well. This was one of the first views that we got to see of the actual glacier itself, and we had to basically get fitted for our crampons. We basically had a guide that would help us go around, obviously, on the glacier, and the guide actually said that the glacier was about 23 kilometers in length, so it's pretty huge. And in the middle of the glacier, the ice can shift about 20 centimeters per day, but by the end, so actually the front, where the ice actually breaks off and crashes into the water, it can actually shift up to 2 meters at a time, which is pretty incredible. But again, that's like I say, you hear that the glacier actually just thundering into the water as well. So it's a great experience to actually see and get really up close and almost personal with it. And obviously you can learn a lot as well at the same time of these natural wonders. Obviously you had to do a little bit of ice climbing. Also, it seems it was a little bit of camera trickery. So again, Mum do not worry, we're absolutely safe, and that's absolutely fine. Now, the glacier again was piercing blue in places and had different waves and swirls, and even in some of the crevices obviously was actual pools of water which you could actually just scoop straight from, actually drink straight away, because it is really fresh. And again, hearing that thunderous sound, I keep coming back to it, but hearing that thunderous sound was pretty impressive. Now, the reason why the glacier is so popular, of course, with the tourists is that it's just incredible to actually go and see, and it's really accessible, which is one of the reasons why people do go and visit there. So if you do go, of course, it is great to actually go in front of the glacier and do a little bit of a hike, climb on the actual ice glacier itself, but you only get to do a small section of it, just so you know, so you're not climbing all over it, of course, because again, at the end of the day, we want to respect the nature that it is. And after you've finished your basically climb and walking around the actual ice glacier, you do get to warm up in a little hut there where they have a nice fireplace where you can also obviously take your own lunch and enjoy the moment and the trek that you've just done. And as you can see, we were given some whiskey also to help warm the cockles, as they might say, and of course we actually had some actual ice from the glacier, so you've got some basically whiskey on the rocks whilst being on the rock itself. And again, this is just a slightly further view from away on the actual viewpoints, and that was basically Perito Monero at the Los Glaciares National Park. Definitely recommend. Now, one of the other places that we did a couple of days later is that we made a visit to El Chalten, which is about a 3-hour basically coast journey from Calefate to get into Chalten. And basically this is the home of Mount Fitz. Again, the drive going up was stunning. There was lakes, there was mountain peaks, there was farm life, basically a handful of other vehicles as you go up and into and out of basically El Chalten. But of course we were most impressed by the actual view of Mount Fitzroy, which is something that we were going to actually climb. First of all, of course, our accommodation, again, this time we stayed at Condo de los Andes, or Andes, and basically this was located in the town. The town is a real cute kind of place to actually have a walk around, and like I said before, because we were there in the towards the end of the season, it was obviously much quieter, but again we managed to see some incredible sights along the way. So one of the paths that we took, we would have a look down to basically the this waterfall, which was named Trillo del Soto, and basically we went there with a couple other travellers from our hostel as well. And again, you can see this the bright, amazing kind of these autumn colours with the waterfall was incredible. And of course, because it was again towards the end of the season, not all the restaurants and bars were open, of course, but we did find this place which was great for a good pizza. We actually went there a couple of nights actually to get different things, of course. Can't be eating pizza all the time. Anyway, now the next day we actually went to Thero Tour Trek, and this was basically an 18-kilometer walk essentially amongst all the different colours of trees and the streams, the rocky footpaths. It was a great little basically walk to get to this glacier at the end, which was this one here. And again, make sure you take some snacks or something with you, of course, because it's going to be a few hours to take to go along the route. But again, you see plenty of birds of prey, of course, and stuff like that. And we reached the lagoon. We saw these icebergs basically sitting in the glacier. Unfortunately, the picture shows it as a lot smaller than what it actually is, but it is pretty huge, and it's a great sight to see. And you see that the blue cloud, that's right, the blue sky coming in through amongst all the clouds. So it's great. But of course, it was cold, so we only stayed there for about 15 minutes once we actually got there, made our way back. But again, it was worth the visit. But again, our main reason to go into El Chalten was for Mount Fitzroy and actually visiting the Laguna de los Tres. This was actually basically a steady 7.5 hours walking and climbing to actually complete this, which is about 24.5 kilometers walk, going uphill, downhill, basically going up the mountains and in the snow-covered basically walkways. The scenery again was absolutely incredible. Some of the walkways included again walking along little wooden paths over lakes, which were also kind of icy, snowy and slippery, but again you got amazing views in the background. So there's only one way that you can actually get there, that's actually going over this walkway. So of course you've got to take your time with some of this stuff, but again it's absolutely incredible to actually go and see. Again, it's one of the best hikes or treks that you can actually go and do, so much highly recommended. Again, there's other lakes as well that you can see, and of course in the background is the peaks of Mount Fitzroy. Definitely go there and climb it. Now of course the only real climb is towards the end, so the first 2 kilometers of the start of the trek was going uphill, so that gets you out of breath a little bit, but then there's another 8 kilometers after that which is relatively flat, which is when you see some of those other pictures that we just showed you there. But it was actually towards the end, it was like the last kilometer was all uphill, which basically took us like an hour to actually get up. It was, or like the last final 100 meters, I can't remember exactly, but it wasn't too long to actually like go up, but it took a long time to actually do it because it was so steep at that time. But as you can see, you get to see a nice stunning picture of the peaks of Mount Fitzroy, and again this is the Laguna de los Tres at the top as well. Again, nice fresh water, I believe it was, from the actual snowy mountains right behind you there. And once we were up there, we basically sat down, had some lunch, refueled a little bit to make our way back down. Of course, on the climb, you get up there and it's really quite cold, but you're so hot from the actual, again, the sun, which was amazing at the time, so you can get quite warm as well. But again, nice place just to chill out and have a little relaxing bit of time before you make your descent all the way back down again. Now if you are interested in any of the treks, the places, the restaurants or accommodation, we will link it in the description below, and please do like and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more of our other travel highlights.